was told, you know, warned left and right, you are going to get so clobbered in the press. You are just going to get beat up and chewed up and spit out. And, you know, I'm thinking, and? Yeah? You know, like, you guys haven't tried to do that every day since that night in '08 when I was on stage nominated for VP. And I got to say, yeah, I'll go, send me, you betcha. I'll serve.
Our breaking news tonight is Sarah Palin endorsing Donald Trump with the Iowa caucus is only 13 days away. Let's discuss now. Kayleigh McEnany is a Republican strategist and a columnist for Above the Law. Bob Cusack is the editor-in-chief of The Hill, political strategist Angela Rye, and Republican strategist Cheri Jacobus. Good to have all of you. Bob, you first. Sarah Palin endorsing Donald Trump. How huge is this?
I think it's pretty big, Don. There's no doubt about it. I mean, Ted Cruz wanted her endorsement. She's not an endorsement you're going to tout in the general election, but certainly in Iowa, when you have this close race, getting Sarah Palin's endorsement is important. And I think it's more important, he's getting all these headlines. Once again, Donald Trump is attracting the media's attention, and Ted Cruz on the defensive. He did not win her endorsement. So I think it's a pretty big deal. Yeah,
Ted Cruz, let's put this tweet up. He says, I love Sarah Palin USA. Without her support, I wouldn't be in the Senate. Regardless of what she does in 2016, I will always be a big fan. So he's downplaying it, Bob. So my question is, how big of a loss is this for Cruz, and why didn't she go with him?
Well, I think it helps both Sarah Palin and Donald Trump. Sarah Palin has basically disappeared from the political scene for quite some time. She's lost power, and this could be the beginning of her comeback if Donald Trump goes on to win the nomination and becomes the next president of the United States. I think that it's a positive for Trump, but however, as Steve King was telling you, he has a rock-solid support in Iowa, and these guys are neck and neck. But if Trump does not win, then we're going to look back at this endorsement and say, well, maybe it wasn't that important.
Cheri, you don't think that this was such a win for Donald Trump, do you?
I don't. I mean, it could be, but this was a hot mess. Sarah Palin was a hot mess.
A hot mess.
This was not the Sarah Palin that was so sharp and so on point in 2008 that we loved, and I defended her a lot. I would not, I mean, this was supposedly the biggest endorsement of the season. I wouldn't have wanted somebody up there doing what she did. The other thing is, she is supposed to be bringing in the evangelical vote from Ted Cruz to Donald Trump in Iowa. That's her purpose. And her message in this endorsement had nothing to do with the things that the evangelicals care about. There would be no reason for them to leave Cruz and go to Trump.
Who's she talking to?
She seemed to be talking to the people who are angry at the establishment and at the government. And at Obama. Now, the people who are with Trump for those reasons are going to stay with Trump for those reasons, but there was nothing in there for evangelicals, particularly since Donald Trump is pro-partial birth abortion in the past, he's pro-big government,
was. But is this a slap in the face to McCain, you think?
You know, I think that the fact that she didn't really stick up for McCain that much when the first insult came, when she said both men are heroes, when Donald Trump said that John McCain is not a hero because he got captured, I only like people who don't get caught, that was a bigger slap in the face to John McCain.
Do you know anything about the Palin-Trump relationship, any inside before today?
I know nothing of the relationship.
Okay.
I just know that they have similar ways of speaking, word salad, if you will, similar supporters. So I'm not quite sure I mean, his supporters are going to love it. I just don't know what's there for evangelicals who are with Ted Cruz to now move to Donald Trump.
Before Kayleigh jumps off the thing and through the screen, I'm going to let you respond. Go ahead, Kayleigh.
You know, I completely disagree with you, Cheri. You know, first I want to correct what you said. Donald Trump is not for partial birth abortion. He had a policy shift a long time ago, and he has been consistent ever since. So it's incorrect to say that he is currently for those things. And second, I would say that this is a huge deal. Look, you might not like the way Sarah Palin speaks. She doesn't speak like an Ivy League professor. She doesn't speak like McCain or Romney or what the establishment is used to, all of whom, by the way, lost elections last time I checked. She might not speak like an Ivy League professor. However, she speaks from the heart. American voters are angry. They're angry with the Republican establishment, which has lied to them and pronounced certain policy positions and then gotten into office and done the exact opposite. Voters are angry, and Sarah Palin speaks to that frustration in a very poignant way. This is huge for Donald Trump, and I think that this could seal the deal in Iowa.
Angela, I have not forgotten about you, and just because we got to you last, just for you, here is some fresh sound of Sarah Palin. Here it is.
And you're ready ready to stop the race baiting and the division based on color and zip code, to unify around the right issues, the issues important to me, or I wouldn't be endorsing him. Pro-life, pro-Second Amendment, strict constitutionality, those things that are unifying values, and there are time-tested truths involved. These are unifying values from big cities and tiny towns, from big mountain states and the Big Apple, to the big, beautiful heartland that's in between.
I am betting, Angela, that you don't think that Donald Trump is a unifier. But I mean, you have to admit, it's true that he has an appeal nationwide.
Don, can we just go back to, so earlier another guest said hot mess. I think that hot mess is the understatement of the night. She sounded like a drunk narrator of a Dr. Seuss book.
Yeah, that was Cheri who said that.
Yes, so Cheri, I'm sorry. But the thing is, you know, I don't know if he wishes he could like moonwalk off the stage because he looked embarrassed. There were a few side eyes. Sure, he may have national appeal, but shame on anyone who appeals to that type of rhetoric that makes no sense. Cheri also mentioned earlier that her design and the reason why this announcement was important to be rolled out at this point is because of her appeal to evangelical voters in Iowa. But she talked about kicking ISIS ass. Like, I mean, you're also not supposed to cuss as an evangelical witness. So I'm just saying I don't understand what she was supposed to be doing tonight, but it was rather confusing. And I definitely would not say that she was very effective.
Okay, I want viewers to mark this moment that Angela Rye and Cheri Jacobus, who's usually on opposite sides of the fence, are actually agreeing on something.
Bipartisan agreement.
I know, bipartisan agreement tonight. But, you know, Angela, two reality TV stars, two celebrity politicians. Sure. How much do you think that we're going to see Sarah Palin on the campaign trail? Because you mentioned some side eyes. Some people said he looked maybe a little bit uncomfortable. Maybe they're just reading a lot into it. You're agreeing, Angela. Cheri's agreeing as well. Angela, what do you think? We're going to see more of her?
I think that we'll definitely see more of her. What we know is at least the cameras will follow her. I think it's for entertainment value, but perhaps there are folks out there that will continue to agree with Sarah Palin. I know that there was commentary about, you know, she doesn't sound like an Ivy League, you know, graduate, but she also lost an election. I think she's the reason why John McCain lost so badly in 2008. So she's certainly no gold standard when it comes to winning elections either.
Before I pull Bob back into this, Cheri, you really think that he seemed that uncomfortable?
I thought he seemed a little bit uncomfortable, and I'm looking at it as somebody who's, you know, run campaigns, have been a campaign
and a supporter of Sarah Palin.
And I would be, if I were a campaign staffer, and I would be on the sidelines saying, somebody get the hook. It's almost as if she didn't take it seriously. Maybe she's lost her touch, but I thought it was a hot mess. That said, you know, his base may absolutely love it. The people who love her are still going to love her, but I just don't see what that did to take supporters from Ted Cruz or Marco Rubio or anybody else and put them into the Trump column.
Bob, you want to respond to that? Did he seem uncomfortable to you, or do you think people are just reading into it?
Well, listen, I don't think that speech was vetted. I don't think Donald Trump cares that much because he just got the endorsement if she wants to go off. And what was a rambling speech? There's no doubt about it. I think he's just very happy that he's got some conservative credentials because Palin has backed him now because Cruz has gone after Trump recently as not being conservative, flip-flopping on different issues. So that's where I think it is important. I don't think it's going to be a complete game changer, but overall, is it a good day for Donald Trump and a bad one for Ted Cruz? Definitely.
All right, Kaylee, don't worry. We're going to get you back. And she's like, I want to talk. So everyone stay with me when we come right back. Is Sarah Palin's endorsement of Trump a gift to Hillary Clinton? How her campaign is reacting tonight. You could say he played his Trump card tonight. But do Donald Trump and Sarah Palin agree on all the issues that matter to conservative voters? We're going to talk about that now with Kaylee McEnany, Bob Cusack, Angela Rye, and Cheri Jacobus, all back with me. Kaylee, I'm a man of my word. I'm going to give you the first question. Tea Party support down in the U.S. right now. Only 17% in October of last year, right, versus 32% in 2010. So could this emphasis on Palin and the Tea Party wing hurt the campaign in the long run?
I don't think so, because here's the thing. There's a few differences between Donald Trump and the Tea Party. You know, for the most part, he agrees with, you know, what the Tea Party stands for, which is anger at politicians who don't keep their promises, which is conservative values. But Donald Trump is a different kind of candidate. He has a bit of a populist undertone to him. When he talks about taxing imports from Mexico, when he talks about going after China, when he talks about, you know, blue-collar workers, that's very different than what the initial Tea Party stood for. So I think he has a different element and a cross appeal to Democrats, Reagan Democrats. You could see him winning states like Michigan or Pennsylvania in a general election. So I don't think that this will hurt him in a general.
Okay, let's talk about the message tonight and whether she was on point or not, as Cheri has been pointing out here. So here's Sarah Palin talking about Trump not being an elitist.
And he is not elitist at all. I just hope you all get to know him more and more as a person and a family man, and what he's been able to accomplish, and with his, it's kind of this quiet generosity. Yeah, maybe his largesse kind of, I don't know, some would say gets in the way of that quiet generosity and his compassion. But if you know him as a person, and you'll get to know him more and more, you'll have even more respect, not just for his record of success and the good intentions for America, but who he is as a person.
Cheri, you're supposed to be looking in the camera, and you're like, what?
I didn't know what she was talking about, and if you have to sit there and try and convince people that someone, a billionaire who has a gold-plated plane and a gold-plated apartment, is not an elitist, you're probably losing the argument. And I don't know what that was. Like I said,
was Mitt Romney an elitist? I mean, just because he had money, you're an elitist? That doesn't make sense. I'm sure you weren't calling Mitt Romney an elitist.
He was
no,
an elitist
I
because
wasn't.
he talked about discounting 47%
but the fact that she had to stand there and make the case that he was not an elitist sort of was not the wisest thing to do. A little bit off message, because I don't think anybody goes around running around Iowa claiming that he's an elitist, even if you think that he is. That's not a campaign point. My point is that Sarah Palin was up there tonight just rambling about nothing on what had been billed as the biggest and most significant endorsement of this campaign cycle.
She talked
I don't think she met the bar.
Things. She talked about Iran. She talked about Donald Trump's on a personal level, that he embodies Christian values. She talked about a ton of different things. I mean, that's wrong to say that she had no message.
Which he kind of messed up yesterday at Liberty University, trying to come off as a Christian when he clearly isn't. He was trying to come off as an evangelical Christian, and he made a fool of himself, and he insulted a lot of people. Sarah Palin was brought in tonight to try and fix that. I don't think she did that.
So Bob, listen, so the point, okay, so maybe or maybe not, people are being a little bit hard for the 2 Corinthians versus 2 Corinthians, which is what it is. But, as Cheri said, she said a lot of things tonight, right? Mm-hmm. And Kaylee's just saying she said a lot of things. The question is, could you follow her message? Did you understand what she was saying? Was it, did she lunch bag it, putting too much in her message this evening?
I think it was a mixed bag, Don, honestly. I mean, she did point out as far as the populism, he is someone who has gone after the pharmaceutical industry, someone who's going after Wall Street, someone's going after CEO pay. These are not normal, traditional establishment Republican things that resonate with the voters. But then all of a sudden she brings up Rand Paul in the middle of the speech, and this is, remember, Donald Trump has gone after Rand Paul repeatedly, and she was praising him. So, I think it was, at times, yes, you could follow it, and other times, you couldn't.
So what do you think there, Angela? Do you think that Hillary Clinton's team was like, woohoo, or, oh my goodness, they were nervous?
I think that they're saying woohoo just like they're saying woohoo about the fact that the Republican establishment decided that they would lift up Bernie Sanders as their candidate, right? Like this is very clear. Hillary Clinton's name regularly comes up in GOP debates, and Sarah Palin does not. But I think that this was very helpful to not only the Clinton campaign, but frankly, other Republican candidates who want to be taken seriously.
I've got to go. Thank you all. I'll see you soon.
Thanks,
right back here on CNN Tonight. Up next, the man who served in both Bush White Houses and the Obama administration, Robert Gates, knows what it is like to work with Republicans and Democrats. What he thinks of this campaign, coming up.
People in the environment I grew up in, Trenton, New Jersey, I don't think that most of the people are there because they're